Today, let's learn about a simple physical test that will tell not only about the condition of your heart but also about your lifespan, that is, how long you are expected to live. My name is Dr. Ranganath and welcome again to my YouTube channel. So today we'll learn about something called a resting heart rate. So what is a resting heart rate? As the name itself suggests, this is the heart rate or the rate at which the heart is pumping, which is measured while a particular person is at rest. So why do we measure a resting heart rate? Because we all know that heart rate is a variable measure. What it means by variable is the heart rate varies throughout the day based on physiological needs. That means whenever a person is exercising, the heart rate will increase. If a person is under stress, the heart rate is going to increase. The heart rate will immediately increase after a heavy meal. And the heart rate varies throughout the day based on the situation that a person is in. So it is very important to measure the heart rate while a person is at rest so that we can have a standardized measurement. So this is measured when a person is reasonably rested, say for about 30 minutes to 1 hour, and the measurement is taken. So what is the normal range of a resting heart rate? The normal range varies from 50 to 100 beats per minute. And it is very important to note that a resting heart rate is a most important predictor of cardiac health and longevity of a person. So a lower the resting heart rate, better is the function of that particular person. So why is a lower resting heart rate more favorable? A lower resting heart rate suggests that the heart is more efficient and is using less effort to pump the blood. Say for example, we have two individuals, one who has a resting heart rate of 50 and the other who has resting heart rate of 100. So a person who has a resting heart rate of 100, the heart has to beat 100 times per minute to do the same function, that is to pump the same amount of blood, as compared to a person who has a resting heart rate of 50, in whom the heart actually beats 50 times per minute to do the same function. So it is quite easy to understand that if the heart is functioning 50 times per minute to do the same amount of work, it is more efficient as compared to a heart which has to function 100 times per minute to do the same work. So a lower resting heart rate means that the heart is more efficient in doing its function. If the heart is more efficient, that means the heart can work for a longer period of time. We all know that the heart starts functioning even before our birth, when we are fetus inside the mother's womb, and it continues to function till the last breath of our life. That means there is no way that the heart can ever rest. So it is quite natural, if the heart is more efficient, that heart is going to function for a long period of time. If the heart is going to function for a long period of time, that means the lifespan of that particular individual will obviously be a longer one. So now let's see how to take a measurement of a resting heart rate. It can be measured manually or by using some gadgets. The manual method is by palpating the radial artery at the wrist. You palpate the radial artery at the wrist and count the number of times that the radial artery is beating for an entire minute. This gives the pulse rate or the heart rate of that particular individual. You can also use gadgets like a pulse oximeter can be used, or you can use fitness tracker or a smart watch like an Apple Watch that I am using, which will also calculate your resting heart rate. Now let's see what are the factors that affect the resting heart rate. One of the important factors that affects the resting heart rate is the age of an individual. As we age, the resting heart rate tends to increase. The second important factor that affects the resting heart rate is the activity or the fitness level of an individual. People who are fit, who regularly exercise, tend to have a low resting heart rate. And regular aerobic exercises is one of the most important modifiable variable that helps in lowering the resting heart rate. So in people who regularly exercise, like in elite athletes, we see that the resting heart rate is very low, even below the level of 50 beats per minute. The other factors are the breathing pattern of an individual. People who have a fast breathing also tend to have an increased resting heart rate. And hydration of the person also affects the resting heart rate. People who are dehydrated tend to have increased resting heart rate. Sleep is one of the most important factors that helps in reducing the resting heart rate, because while we are sleeping, the heart rate tends to be very low. So in people who are sleep deprived, automatically the resting heart rate will increase. People who consume a lot of alcohol, who are smokers or drink caffeinated drinks, also tend to have an increased resting heart rate. And the other important variable that affects the resting heart rate is the stress level of an individual. People who are stressed tend to have a higher resting heart rate. So now let's see how can we reduce our resting heart rate. One of the most important ways by which we can reduce the resting heart rate is by being fit, doing regular exercises. As I already mentioned, regular aerobic exercise is the most important modifiable variable when it comes to reducing the resting heart rate. So keeping ourselves active will significantly help in reducing a resting heart rate. The other ways by which we can reduce our resting heart rate is doing deep breathing exercises like pranayama, which will significantly lower your resting heart rate. Meditation also helps in reducing the resting heart rate. Getting adequate sleep, keeping the body hydrated, and limiting the amount of alcohol or smoking or caffeinated drinks will also help in reducing the resting heart rate. Practicing healthy eating habits will help in reducing the insulin levels and also improve the insulin sensitivity, which also helps in bringing down the resting heart rate. And most important of all is to focus on stress levels. By reducing or managing the stress levels also helps in reducing the resting heart rate. So in this video, we have learnt about what is a resting heart rate, what is the normal range of resting heart rate, how do we measure the resting heart rate, and what are the factors that affect the resting heart rate, and how can we reduce the resting heart rate. A resting heart rate is the heart rate of an individual while that person is at rest. The normal range varies from 50 to 100 beats per minute. Lower is your resting heart rate, the more efficient is your heart, and the heart is expected to live longer. We can reduce our resting heart rate by doing regular exercises, practicing pranayama, meditation, focusing on hydration level and keeping the stress levels under control, practicing healthy eating and reducing the consumption of alcohol or smoking will also help in reducing the resting heart rate. So I request each one of you to measure your resting heart rate today, and if your resting heart rate is, say for example, is more than 80 beats per minute, that means your heart is at a significant disadvantage. You should focus on reducing your resting heart rate to at least below the level of 60 beats per minute, so that the heart can be more effective and can function for a longer period of time. So let's see what is my resting heart rate today. So as per my Apple Watch, my today's resting heart rate is 54 beats per minute. So if you can keep your resting heart rate below the level of 60, then you are doing a great favor to your heart. And this is one of the most simple but neglected tests which can predict the function of your heart. So I request each one of you to focus on measures that will help in reducing the resting heart rate. I hope this video was useful to you. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in my next video. And don't forget to take good care of your heart. Thank you.